I'm even happier to have a special guest, Lorie Hartshorn, with us today. Lorie is the host of the 700 Club Canada. She's an author, she's a speaker. And Lorie, just want to welcome you today to be and coming on our program. It's a delight to have you.
Hey, it's great to be with you, Mike and Julie. Nice to see your new show launched here. This is great.
Yeah, well, a lot of things are happening, and you've been a great encouragement to us in the process as well. And what our viewers don't know is that you and I go way, way back. First year I was married, I was at a place called Elam Lodge. And
Oh
you were
yeah.
there. You remember those days you were dating Dean? Okay, we're just going to put it out
Oh,
on the table.
exactly. The beginning of my dating to my husband, who I married.
That's
Yes.
that's right. And I hope he's listening in right now. But I remember, do you remember the ski show we used to do? There was Greg, Bryce, and myself, and we were we were on skis, and you were the gymnast. So you would climb up and do the pyramid, a three-person pyramid.
Oh my goodness. I think we were out of our minds, Mike. I mean, here we are in this weed infested lake. Can we just say that? And on your shoulders being
Yeah.
tugged by a boat. Anyway, wouldn't
Okay.
do that today,
Well,
but we survived.
I'm thinking if back then had been now, you would have had so many more followers on social media,
I
and
bet I would have. I bet I
that
would
just
have.
would have gone through the charts. But let's just talk about that for a moment, because as a broadcaster, you're always in front of people, and it can be almost like Vanity Fair, as we have to deal with our ego, constantly, and yet we're talking a message that Jesus gives us about being humble. So social media, the whole thing of follow me is at hundreds of millions of followers. It's astronomical. When you think of populations of entire countries, they follow celebrities of all kinds. Give me your take on all of this.
Well, I think it comes down to human nature, Mike. I think really we have this thing called voyeurism in us that we just love to watch people. And social media has enabled us to watch whoever we want to watch. And I mean, it's superficial at best. I'm not suggesting that, throw the baby out with the bathwater. There's no good in social media, but there are challenges with it. And there's a false celebrity, there's a false following or an idea of what it means to be followed by others, and whether it's amount of likes or views or whatever. Yeah, it's created, I think, a real ego war for some people. They're fed by it. So there's danger in it.
Lorie, one of the things I've come to so appreciate in the ministry that you're leading is your passion to make Jesus famous. And
Mhm.
today we're talking about Jesus' words on our program when he said, "Follow me." And as you think about that in the Christian circles here in Canada, do you think, is it losing its meaning for today's society and culture?
Mhm.
And as you
Well, I
think
think
about
we
it
have
in
to,
context of the church as well.
yeah, I think we have to look at what Jesus meant by follow me. I mean, even in his culture, there was the crowd, there was those who followed him, and they were spectators, right? They were along with the crowd. They maybe were curious. Maybe I'm not suggesting they didn't gain any benefit by being in the crowd and being one of those who maybe followed his teachings. But Jesus' command or words, or let's say invitation to follow me, isn't really about being part of a crowd. He's saying, be in relationship with me. That's what Jesus is inviting us to. So, really, nothing's changed. Really, today, we can be a follower in a crowd. We can be, even in the church, we can say we're following Jesus, but maybe we just like the idea of it, or, maybe it's part of our social sphere, but the command and the invitation is still to us today. Follow me, Jesus says, be in relationship with me. And that hasn't changed. And I think in Canada, the thing is, Mike, a lot has changed with COVID. The church, in some ways, from a skeptical viewpoint, could be that, oh, it's blowing up and the church is in trouble. Well, I don't know, Mike. I'm a forever believer that Jesus' words are true. He said, the gates of hell will not prevail against the church. And the invitation is still there today. I believe God is always at work. And our invitation is to still follow Jesus in relationship. Our invitation is to say, where is God working, and join him in that. But I do think it looks differently in our culture to follow Jesus than it did even a few years ago. Um, yeah, so there's a challenge and an invitation for us still today in our nation.
Well, let me pick up on that, and I'm going to put you on the spot. You've talked about the
Yeah.
shift over the last couple years. What does it mean for you to follow Jesus? How do you live that out in your daily life? Can you give me an example?
Absolutely. It is a personal invitation, Mike. I can't rely on my job as either I've been a pastor, I've been in Christian ministry. I mean, that's really at the end of the day, I'm not sure Jesus cares about that. He cares about my heart. You
Mm,
see, the invitation to follow Jesus is a call of your heart. So, where's your heart? And so, each and every day, I have to wake up and ask Jesus, what are we doing today? And my ask Jesus to keep my desires and my focus in alignment with what he's doing. And so, practically, Mike, I start my day by talking to him. I start my day by being in the Word of God and actually seriously asking the question when I get in my car, no joke, if I'm going to the grocery store, if I'm going out somewhere, I say, Jesus, what are you doing and how can I join you today? It's a very active thing in my life. And there's times when he just prompts me to like go speak to that lady in the grocery store, go share, go talk to your neighbor, pick up the phone. It's very practical, Mike. And I think that's the invitation of following Jesus. He's not going to measure how many church services we went to, although that's valuable. He's really looking at our hearts. And so an invitation to everyone is to say, how much are our hearts in connection to what God is doing? And are we actually obeying Jesus? Following Jesus was do what I do. His invitation to his disciples was not just show up and be part of the crowd. It
mm,
was do what I do, love people, but also, Mike, the challenge of look what Jesus did. He did perform miracles. He did cast demons out of people. He did heal people. And I don't think it's different for us today. I think we should be found doing the things that Jesus does as his followers. And that's exciting. That's
Well, you're
exciting.
getting wound up there, Lorie.
I am.
You're ready to preach. I mean, stand up, go. You go, girl, go. I'm going to let Julie join in right now because I know she's burning to ask a question as well.
We have about 20
Yeah.
seconds, but I always like to ask this question. Who inspired you, Lorie, to follow Jesus?
Wow, I had a privilege of being raised in a home where my parents were first generation Christians, but I watched them follow Jesus wholeheartedly. And I was part of a community of loving believers. And that was really my inspiration from a very young girl that I too wanted to follow Jesus like the people I saw around me.
That's cool.
Well, Lorie, I want to
Yeah.
thank you so much for being with us today. Look forward to you coming on the program again and God's blessing as you continue to minister through the 700 Club.